The short answer is that King Edward II most likely died on the night of September 21st, 1327, inside Berkeley Castle. However, how he died is one of medieval history's most famous cold cases. The story you likely know, the red-hot poker, is almost certainly a myth. Here is the breakdown of the legend, the likely reality, and a conspiracy theory that suggests he didn't die at all. 1. The famous legend, the red-hot poker. If you know anything about Edward II, it is likely the story that he was murdered by having a red-hot poker thrust into his rectum. The story. The executioners supposedly used a poker through a hollowed-out cow's horn to burn his insides without leaving a mark on his body. The reality. This specific detail did not appear in chronicles until years after his death. Most modern historians view this as later propaganda. Why it was invented? It was likely a cruel symbolic fabrication created by his enemies to mock his alleged homosexual relationships, specifically with his favorites, Piers Gaveston and Hugh Despenser. It served as a poetic justice narrative rather than a factual account. 2. The historical consensus, suffocation or illness. Historians generally agree that Edward died at Berkeley Castle because he had become too dangerous to keep alive. His wife, Queen Isabella, and her lover Roger Mortimer had deposed him, but as long as he breathed, he was a rallying point for rebellions. Most likely cause. If he was murdered, he was likely suffocated or strangled. This would have achieved the same goal as the poker story, killing him without leaving visible marks on the body for the funeral, but is a much more practical and common method of medieval assassination. Alternative. Some argue he may have simply died of natural causes, extreme exhaustion and depression, due to the horrific sanitation and treatment during his imprisonment. 3. The survival conspiracy, the Fieschi Letter. There is a fascinating minority theory that Edward II did not die in 1327 at all. The evidence. In the 19th century, a document known as the Fieschi Letter was discovered. It was written by a Genoese priest to Edward's son, Edward III, claiming that Edward II had escaped Berkeley Castle, killing a porter in the process, who was buried in his place, and fled to Italy to live as a hermit. The verdict. While some historians, like Ian Mortimer, have argued this is plausible, the mainstream view remains that he died in the castle. The escape story may have been a fantasy Edward III wanted to believe, or a political tool used to manipulate him.